Hello. Okay, so I just wanted to hop on and do a kind of like a behind the scenes analysis of how my membership launch has gone because we closed the doors last night. I had big grand plans, and big targets of what I wanted to do. So, just to back up a little bit, if you don't already know me, hello, my name is Suze, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist, a Reiki master, crystal therapist. And I tend to work with people, or I have built my in person business, I guess, up through mainly one to one in person work. And that's been really successful. It's been really fulfilling. I love working with people. So um, that side has all been great. And I've had a few years of feeling very kind of like settled into it. Um, Now I'm moving online for lots of different reasons. Um, but it's a whole different ball game, isn't it? And so I thought what I value in other people and other people's businesses is when people are really transparent and open and honest, because I think there's an absolute load of rubbish out there at the moment in the business world that's to do with, like hustling really hard and, like what success means. Like success is like, 20, 30K months and all the rest of it, which is great for some people, but I think that it's not necessarily realistic to start out a business when you're so focused on those figures. Because then you always feel like you're chasing something. You're always chasing a version of success, and always waiting for something to happen. And actually, what I truly believe and try to embody is that if we can figure out what success means to us, not what society tells us success is, then we can find out, well, what feeling is it that I'm really looking for with that? And how can I embody that on a day-to-day basis? So for me, my feeling of success is freedom for sure. It's time freedom. I don't mean freedom like going to live, on a beach in Bali. Like I live in Yorkshire. I've got a family. I've got a mortgage. So there are elements that are not free, like we have responsibilities. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I really like having freedom to spend my days as I choose. Like my hair is kind of still a bit wet because I've been at the gym this morning and I've come back and had a little potter about. And now I want to go into my membership launch and to really, I guess, pull back the curtain and do like a little bit of a behind the scenes for myself as much as for you guys. And what I really hope is that because it was not a success actually there were elements of it that were a success. By society's standards, you would say this is absolutely not a success. But there were elements of it that feel very successful, actually. So that's kind of like, I guess, what I want to unpick today. See where we are, what went wrong, what I could have done better, and what I'm going to do next time, because this is a process that I am following, which means I'm kind of detached from the outcome, which is great because it means that if the outcome doesn't happen, it doesn't affect how I feel about myself, about my business, about what I've got to offer, because I feel very, very solid in those things. So yeah, let's have a little look. And so I'm going to share my screen. Whoop. Okay, so I guess what we'll start with is the figures, and I might just flip back and forth between the screens. So ad spend, I'm following a strategy called reverse organic. So I am in the Grow with Evelyn. I'm going to show you actually, just this is her page, Grow with Evelyn on School. Her community is absolutely fantastic. It is, if you are looking to use ads, it is the best thing, hands down, I've ever been a part of. I've submitted my ads for her to look at multiple times, and she has done a full Loom video, got back to me about where I'm going wrong and what I can do to improve. Like for $99 a month, it's insane value. So yeah, I would highly recommend that. But essentially that's what I'm doing. So the idea is, or what I guess a lot of us has been told, especially if you are in the holistic practitioner space, is that you just need to create content and people will like, know, and trust you. And then eventually they'll buy from you. And the problem with that is, I think, is that so much energy gets expended into, we put ourselves out there so much, we become content creating machines rather than actually what we want to do and what we're great at doing. So, sorry, I'm just looking outside. Someone's having a nose into my garden. So yeah, we really focus our attention, on the content and becoming marketers essentially, and it takes you away from the work that we're actually here to do. A lot of us that are in the holistic practitioner space are not particularly extroverted and don't particularly enjoy, being on Instagram and following trends and things like that. So the idea of reverse organic is that we go from an ads first perspective. So we find the angle. I'm going to show you. So we find the ad angle. Facebook's going crazy. So I'll show you here. This is my balloon campaign that I ran. So I ran a campaign, and what I did was I picked out, after I'd obviously kind of got to the nitty gritty of what I thought would be a good angle for my workshop, I came up with 3 different angles here. So intentional inaction, productive rest, biggest breakthrough. And then what I did with that is I set a $15 a day budget across the 3 ads for 72 hours. And that then, I don't know why this isn't. Let me just refresh the page and see if that does anything. I wonder if this is because I'm on StreamYard maybe, or YouTube. It should be able to show you, no problem. Okay, right. Well, essentially what we did, I'll have to figure this out why it's not coming up for some reason. But we've got 3 different angles here. So we ran them a campaign for 72 hours with a budget of £15 a day. And then after the 72 hours were up, we looked at what our winning ad was. And it was, for this, you can't see it because it's not loading for some reason, but it was intentional inaction. I think it was coming out at like £2.41 a lead or something like that. So then we basically took that idea and we did another test. So again, I can show you on here. So then we took that idea of intentional inaction and then we created different kinds of ads for them. So we've got like a graphic of like a rested woman here. You can see we have this one, which was like a lifestyle. So it's basically me holding a cup of tea and there's some like crystals on there. And then the third one was a mock-up. That one didn't do well at all. And out of the 3, it was actually, I'm just seeing if this is showing. No, it's not showing either. It was actually the rested woman that was that came out top. But it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't a good campaign. It wasn't converting very well. I think it was working out at basically £3.10 per lead overall. That's where we landed. So £3.10 was our cost per lead. We got 72 leads from Facebook, and then we got 90 people in total in the workshop. So the others came from either like recommendations or maybe through my email list or something like that. So I spent £223 on ads. And for that, I got 72 leads. So we had 90 total in the workshop. Out of that, 7 people turned up live. Actually, 8 people, but one of them was my husband, so he doesn't count. Which then gives us a workshop attendance rate of 7.78%, which I don't actually think as a percentage it's that bad. I think that's kind of just what we expect to see, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Personally, it doesn't feel great when only 7 people turn up, but 7 people turned up. And from there, we had a conversion rate of just 1.11%, which sounds, again, incredibly dire. But there were multiple reasons for that. If you're wondering about that, it's because you'd think it'd be higher, because you can see from the figures here. So we had 1 person sign up for the monthly. We had 2 people sign up for annual. But then I also had some beta members. So I had 2 monthly beta members and 2 annual beta members. So we had a total of 7 people. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So we had 7 people sign up, and but obviously in terms of, a lot of them were beta members, so people who came in cold, essentially. That amounted to 1.11% conversion rate. And then from there, we had, that was the lead to sale conversion rate, so 1.39%, which means that we didn't break even on our ads. So essentially, where we made money, we brought in £210 from cold leads, if you like, so people from the workshop. But we spent £223 for. So it looks like we actually made a loss. However, remember that it is a membership, and so you've got your monthly recurring revenue to take into account there as well. Now, I'm assuming that we'll have like a lifetime value of like 6 months. I hope it will be longer, to be honest, but let's just assume 6 months lifetime value. Then that monthly member actually is worth £180, not £30. And it's £180 for an annual membership. So obviously that stays the same. But yeah, so we can see actually what we took for this was £954. Sorry, we didn't take that. We took £624 as a launch total. But when we consider lifetime value as well, obviously that goes up a bit. I mean, these figures are, I mean, they are very, very low, aren't they? We hear all the time about membership launches that are, like 5-figure, 6-figure. This is what I'm dealing with right now. And so it can feel really negative in the sense of, I only made £624, which for months of work, in terms of, before this I held a summit, and then after the summit I've done this live workshop. I've invested into ads to then launch the membership and only have 7 members, but most of those are whom were like beta members that decided to come back and re-sign up. They were given the option, basically, because we switched platforms, that it's like, right, this has come to an end. You're welcome to sign up for a much reduced rate. So we had 5 of those that did that. And then, well, all of my beta members re-signed back up. And then obviously the 2 new members that came in through the workshop. So it's, on the face of it, financially did not do well at all. However, why I think it's quite exciting is because I only invested £223 into ads, and I made that money back. Like, I will make it back by next month, basically. I was like 15 quid short, wasn't I? of breaking even. So by next month, when the next monthly payment goes out, I will have made that money back. So if I can do the same again, but double the ad spend, then the logic is that I should get double the amount of new members. The other thing to note as well is that with this, just see on here. Oh, this doesn't really show this, but what I was going to say was, I think a really key thing to note with this is that these people were really, I was speaking to a very cold audience. I've done very minimal amounts of nurturing, and that sounds like quite a clinical way to look at it. What I mean is that everyone who knows me as a practitioner, everyone who has worked with me, we've built that one-to-one relationship. And so it's really easy for people to choose to invest because they know what they're getting, essentially. I think that where I've really fallen short with the online stuff is I have not shared myself at all. I've kind of just hoped that people would come into my world and then they would obviously find out and it'd be great. And it obviously doesn't work that way. Like, why would people invest when they haven't seen me walk the walk? And so that is 100% on me. The people who have chosen to take that leap of faith, I'm so grateful for. I'm so grateful that we have 9, including me, incredible members in our community, because what we are doing is really, really special. And I know that we can grow it to be a really special community. But being really good at what you do isn't really enough, is it, in this online world? You have to be able to market and let people know, and people want to come into your world. And so I decided, because everything I do is coming from a place of, how can I make this the easiest way possible? How can I make it as fun and as pressure free as possible? And how can I do it in a way that is really aligned with my values and allows me to feel really rested and abundant? And the answer really for that is just really raw content. And by raw, I'm just StreamYarding this now. I'm talking out loud. It's probably nonsense. And if you are listening, you do watch this, then please know that I appreciate you. I know that it could be much tighter, much cleaner than what it is. But ultimately, I haven't got the energy or the motivation to spend creating videos. So where I've landed with it all is, I'm just going to document everything that I'm doing and I'm going to share it. And hopefully there'll be things that people find helpful, things that people find interesting. And then hopefully that'll open up the door to have some meaningful conversations, because that's really what I'm here for. It's about connecting. That is everything to me. So yeah, that's kind of where I landed with my membership launch. There's 9 of us, including me, and I'm very, very happy and grateful about that. I mentioned earlier about success metrics. So obviously, from the perspective of money, it's not successful, although arguably you could say, well, by next month, you'll be in profit. And when you look at it like that, it's okay, so I just need to invest more. I think I can improve the conversion rates massively in terms of if I can find ways to connect with people in my world, then that will improve the conversion rates. And then we'll just go from there and see what happens. I'm just going to try it again. I'm not going to feel like a failure because of it. And I do think that is because we're doing it from an ads first approach. I've tried online in the past many years ago, and everything felt very personal, and it was really hard to separate my like online success from self-worth. It made me feel like I was really crap at my job because I wasn't selling like people said that I could. Um, so this time I really like it's fine. It's fine. I've got a plan, I think, and I'm just going to adjust the plan as I go. But yeah, basically just going to share as and when things come up for me. Anything I do, I'm just going to document it, and you can watch or not. I hope that you do, and I hope that if you are my kind of person, that you will leave me a comment and let me know what, if anything, resonated with you, or what you're working on, or if you've had a launch that's completely flopped, then please do share away, because it's always good to share these things so we know actually we're not in the minority. We're not the ones that are, like being left behind. That's not the case at all. We're all here. All right. I shall leave it there. Yeah, any questions, please do reach out and let me know.